and once again, welcome. This is SharePoint 301, and today we're going to talk about embedding content in pages. This is a somewhat advanced subject and assumes that you know, number one, that you have a login credential for SharePoint and that you can get to the site that you're trying to edit. Number two, it assumes that you have some basic navigation skills. And three, that you have access to an embed code for the content that you want to use from a different site. And so we're not going to go over the very basics here. We're going to kind of jump in the middle of the deep end of the pool and just start in going. Today we'll talk about collecting the embed code, and we're going to use a few different site examples. We're going to talk about creating a text file of that embed code and then setting up the Webpart for embedding the content that you want from another site. We're going to talk about Flash, and we'll talk about a second Webpart that can be used as an alternative to embed local video. By local, I mean video that you have in your SharePoint site already that maybe you're not happy with the way it plays on the page or something along those lines. One of the more common things that people want to embed in their websites is a data.oregon.gov calendar or some view of a data.oregon.gov data set. Well, that's not too tough to do. Here's an example of the embed code right over here that data.oregon.gov offers you. You go to your data set and you click the red Embed button, and that brings up this panel here that offers the embed code. And for any of these sites, you'll simply select the entire code, right-click, and copy. That's how to collect the embed code from data.oregon.gov. Again, this assumes that you have permissions, that you have access to a data set that you want to embed. Very similar for, say, Vimeo. Vimeo offers a share button on videos that you have rights to. So if you click that share button, it gives you a few different options here, but one of them is an embed code. And again, it's highlighted. You simply right-click and copy the embed code. A lot of you like to put Facebook like badges on your site. Well, there are several different kinds of badges that Facebook offers, the most common being the like. And when you get to Facebook and you're able to select one of the pages that you have liked, it will offer you an embed code to place a like badge on your website. And again, you would simply copy that. Another alternative is YouTube. A lot of agencies have YouTube channels, and the share for YouTube is down here, this button. When you click share, and then you can select the embed way to share, and it offers you the iframe, the embed code here. Right-click and copy. So the first step, no matter what it is you're going to embed from a different site, is to find the embed code from that site and then copy it so that you have it in your clipboard to use. What do you do once you have the embed code? Well, we're going to open a simple word processor or a simple WordPad. I like Notepad++. It's just my personal favorite. You can use WordPad, comes with Microsoft. TextPad is one that's freely available online. Anything that you use for a simple text editor. clear out what I had in there, and I'm going to paste my embed code. I saved the one from Vimeo. I'm going to paste that embed code into this simple text editor and save it as a name that I will remember, or at least be able to recognize later on when I need it. And save that to my desktop. There's my new file, my Vimeo embed code. So all we do is go online, pick up the embed code from the place we want it, come back to our desktop, paste it into a simple editor, and create a TXT file from it. Now that is important. Your file has to be a TXT. You can see that right here. The .txt is what it wants. SharePoint will read that without any question or equivocation and understand what it's telling SharePoint to do. Now once we have that simple text document, we're going to go to our SharePoint authoring site so that we can set up that Webpart and be able to display the embedded data. And so I've gone to my training site. This is my SharePoint authoring area. And I'm going to get behind the site. And I'm going to go to my docs folder or wherever it is that I have established that I'm going to put these embed codes. They don't all have to be in the same place. That's up to you and the organization that you've agreed upon in your agency. For me, in my training site, mine are in a folder inside of Docs called Embeds. And I upload just like anything else. I click Add Document, browse for that document that I want. I know it's on my desktop. And it's late in the alphabet, so there's my Vimeo embed code document. Click Open. Click OK here. Make sure that you put in any of the metadata that your agency requires or recommends that you use. Click Save. And now I have an embed code document ready to go in SharePoint. Once we have our embed code document up in SharePoint, now what we need to do is to collect the SharePoint location of that document. So what we're going to do is put it on our clipboard. Whatever embed code document that we want to use for this Webpart, we're going to hover the mouse over the name of the document and right-click and tell Microsoft that we want to copy the shortcut. What that does is it copies the URL or the link that is associated with this document and puts it on our clipboard. I'm going to copy the shortcut. And then again, for me, I like to paste that somewhere just in case I wind up copying something else sometime and losing it. I'll paste it down right here in the same editor. It's just this is the only line I'm going to use later. This is the location of the text document that I just uploaded for the Vimeo embed. And that's still on my clipboard. But I just put it here for safekeeping, just in case I lose it. Clicking back into SharePoint. Now I'm going to go navigate to the page that I want my embedded content to live on. So again, I'm going to Site Action, View All Site Content. I'll get into my Pages library and navigate down to the page that I want this thing on. Now you can see I've got several of them as examples here. And if we need to, if you want, we can go back and look at those towards the end of the session to see what they're all about. But you're going to find that they are all significantly similar to what I'm about to do. And so I'm going to edit this page, and I'll add one down here. Now, once I'm here and I'm ready to embed, I'm going to make sure that my cursor or my insertion point is where I want to embed that video. This will happen successfully in a table, it'll happen successfully out here in a rich content area, or it'll happen successfully if you simply want to add a web part to the page using one of these predetermined places to put a web part. Okay? This one doesn't have a top web part, but it has a left and, in fact, left, top, and bottom, and a bottom web part. But this will work anywhere on the page. Mine just happened to be in the rich content area. So I've got my insertion point blinking here where I want this thing to be. And just to make it easy on myself, I'm going to give myself a little room under it as well so I can continue editing successfully after I embed this thing. All I did was hit the enter key a couple times and then arrow back up. Once I have my insertion point where I want that web part to be, I'm going to go to the Insert tab of the editing ribbon. And I'm going to tell SharePoint that I want to insert a web part. Once I click this button, SharePoint will give me a list of options for what kinds of web parts are available to me. The one we're going to use to embed material from other places is in Media and Content, and it's called the Content Editor Web Part. So I'll make sure that I'm in the right category and have the right web part, the Content Editor, and then I'm going to click Add so that it gets placed on the page. Now you can see we've got the Content Editor web part right here where the cursor was. How do I get the video into the web part? Well, I have to tell the web part what I want it to do. So I'm going to use this drop menu instead of click here to add new content. I'm not going to do that for embedding. That I'm going to leave completely alone. And I'm going to go to the drop menu and tell the web part that I want to edit it. So edit web part. Every time that I tell SharePoint I want to edit a web part, it's going to put the editing pane for the web part way up the top of the page and way over on the right-hand side. That's just the way it does it. It looks like it didn't do anything for a minute until you scroll up, you find the web part editing pane, and now you can go forward. That's just the way it handles web parts. And now, real easy, this content link area. I don't even have to click into it or click a menu to see that. It's just right here. I'm going to put my cursor in there, and I'm going to paste the location that I just copied from the docs library where I was at. I'm going to paste that location right in there. And you can see that this is the location for that text file that I had for embedding that Vimeo content. Okay? If I lost it for some reason, if I accidentally copied something else on top of it or what have you, I can always go back to this text document, pick it back up from here by copying, and paste it into here. That's why I make that backup copy of it, just in case. I might accidentally copy and paste something else in the meantime, and I'm really good at doing that, so I make backups. And so once it's here, I click OK. Now sometimes this web part can be slow on the uptake. And so sometimes, oh, it did it the first time. Sometimes it takes a couple of different refreshes to make this show up. if you should get nervous, you can always go to the page preview pane and look at it in preview mode. Preview mode should carry this as soon as SharePoint picks it up. So you don't have to get nervous about is it there or is it not if the authoring page doesn't pick it up right away. And so this is the preview page. I'm going to get out of that. I think this is the preview page. And here's my content. Now, after this is published, of course, when the end user comes in and views this page, if they click on this button, that video will play right there in its little box. There it goes. And it carries these kinds of things carry their own players. The YouTube, the Vimeo, data.org and .gov has its own controls, and all those things that are offered are carried in the viewer so that your page doesn't have to be coded with them. These items, the play button and all the Vimeo controls here, these all come over with that embed code, and you don't have to do a thing except copy and paste. There's no coding that goes on. And so that's kind of neat. Now, in addition to simply putting it in there, let's go ahead and edit it again. There are other controls in the Webpart that you can play with to make it more what you would like to see. You can force this Webpart to a certain number of pixels high and wide. You might have to experiment with that because these videos can be, depending upon what options the site gives you for the embedded content, like size, resolution, these kinds of things. You could distort this video or the content to a point where it can't be read if you try to force this to a different size. And so like a lot of other things in SharePoint, sometimes it's best to leave well enough alone and just understand that, yeah, you can play with this and you can always undo it, but it may not come out exactly the way you want it the first time. All you have to do, if you do squeeze it, just take it out, take your numbers out of these boxes and click no and allow it to automatically adjust, and it'll go back to its let's say it's vanilla flavor without all the things that you've done to it in the meantime. Chrome state is this Webpart expanded or is it minimized? When it's minimized, it simply means that it's kind of rolled up, if it'll do it for me. Yeah, it's kind of rolled up. It still exists, but then your audience has to tell it that they want the Webpart to expand and play this thing. And if they're not familiar with this, which most end users are not, they won't understand what that means. And so you should leave it normal. And Chrome type, if you click none, then the blue labeling will go away if it plays true to form. And that is when it is, that happens when it's published, that the blue label will go away. And again, here it's slow on the pickup. So you can tell it that you want a title, and you can set that title. You can tell it that you want a border or title only or border only as well. So if you do want a border on it, you can put it there. And when you're all done, you click OK. Your editing pane goes away, and your video sits and is ready to be played by the end user. Okay, not much to look at on these, so I'll try to be quick. I've had the questions about Flash and Captivate. If you have SWF or FLV files that you want to have embedded, the best way to do that is to put those things up on YouTube, and I'm actually not sure if FLV goes up to YouTube or not. But if you can convert it to a format that will go to YouTube or Vimeo or one of those video type sites, and then use this process, this regular embedding process, that is absolutely the easiest way to go. The reason for that is that these embedded items will be pretty consistent throughout every browser. And if you try to play the Flash videos of either type, SWF or FLV, both of them can give different versions of different browsers headaches and not play right, not look right. SWF is, from my experience, more friendly to more browsers, but the most reliable thing you can do is put them up on YouTube and embed them that way. Now, as far as Captivate goes, if you make a Captivate production in your agency, Captivate will put out a bunch of files for one production. The key to that is you're not really embedding anything. The key to making that work right is to put all of those files that Captivate spits out at you into the same folder in a library. And then one of the files that Captivate gives you is an HTML file. That HTML file has all the instructions that the browser needs to be able to look at all of the other files and put them together right. So when you link to it, you won't get the Oregon.gov surround, the wrapper. You'll just get a regular HTML page. But when you link to that HTML page, it will come up and play that Captivate production. So it's not really a matter of embedding. It's more of just making sure you're pointing to the right file and allowing Captivate to have its way with the browser window. What if you have a local video that you want to embed, like a WMV? In fact, this only works with WMV files. Windows Media will play in your browser if you do it this way. What you'll do, I'm going to make a new section here. What you'll do, this goes away from the content editor Webpart and uses another one. And so I put my insertion point here where I want my WMV to play. And I go to Insert, Webpart. And this time the one that I want is the Media Webpart. This is for WMV that you have loaded on your SharePoint site only. Click Add for the Media Webpart. And here's my Media Webpart. This is ready to go for a WMV file that is uploaded to my SharePoint site. Now this one says click here to configure. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to click that, and you notice that now I have a media ribbon available up here. And in order to establish it, I have to change the media. I'm going to tell it that I want to do it from SharePoint because I already have one loaded up. Now I put this in my media folder, media library. It's called Sample WMV. I was already prepared for it. You upload these the same way you upload any others. If it's a large video, which we try to stay away from because SharePoint isn't very good at large videos, but if it's a large one, it'll take longer to upload than others. So I didn't want to have you sit and wait through an upload for this. So I select the video and click OK. And we wait for SharePoint. There we go. Okay. Now we've got the media that we want. I can, if I want, also select an image to put up here so that the public has something better to look at than a black screen or this little. Going into my images folder, This image has nothing at all to do with the video that's there. It's just to show you that you can put a separate image to have a front face on this video part. And then again, in this ribbon, there are other things you can do. You can force the size, and this actually takes the size pretty easily, and it's hard to mess it up. This will allow you to manipulate that size up and down really easily, and it works really nice with each other for this particular web part. You can tell it what, if you want a dark or a light background. See, we went from black to white around the video. So depending on what your video looks like, you could do either one of those to add or subtract from the contrast. And you determine whether you want this media to start automatically upon page launch, which means that a end user comes to the page and as soon as it renders, the video is going to start to play, or uncheck that and the page will render. It will show this first image that you selected until the end user, it will show this first image that you selected until the end user clicks play, and then it will come up and play. You can also determine whether or not you want this video to loop until the end user comes in and stops it from looping. And so this is a good option if you have a short WMV file that you would like to put on your page. It's really pretty easy, and there is one caveat to this, so one gotcha. The end user, the viewer, will have to have the Microsoft Silverlight plugin on their machine in order to view it. And so it's not a true embed. It still requires a plugin. Most media out there requires a plugin. And I would venture to say that an awful lot of our viewers probably already have Microsoft Silverlight on their machines because Netflix depends upon that in order to play its movies. So we've had a way to embed other content from other sources into our pages. We've answered the question, what about Flash players? What about Captivate? And now how to, with quotes, embed a local WMV file. And that's about all there is to it. So I'm going to open this up again and take questions for whatever has come up in your mind.
Hey, Sean, could you please show an example of the Facebook like thing? How does that actually work on your site? Does it still, I mean, when you click it, I mean, what does it do? There's
a couple different things that it'll do. This particular one is set up so that it goes to the Model Railroader Facebook page. And so if I click that, I'll wind up here on their Facebook page. There's also a link, this one displays a link to my Facebook profile. And then it seemed to me like there was, and then create your own like badge. Here you can go to Facebook and say that you're saying, okay, well I want a Facebook like badge on my page, and so if you're logged into Facebook and you click that link, it'll take you to wherever your options are for creating a like badge like that. And when you select one of these options, this would be a list of Facebook pages that you have liked. You can select one of those pages and it will give you the embed code down here, and you just run through and copy the whole embed code and put that into that text document, and the rest of it is just, this is the content editor web part. And so edit the web part, it's up here, and you just put in that link to the text document that you created from the embed code, and that's all there is to it. Now, I imagine that because Facebook tries to be kind of progressive. I imagine that different companies could modify their Facebook badges to do a number of different things. It may go directly to the corporate site rather than the Facebook page. Or there could be a couple of buttons here, go to the Facebook page, go to the corporate site, or what have you. Facebook also has other types of badges that you can use too.
So the like badge really isn't a like badge that you could put on our page to have people click like to say they like our page. It actually links to somebody else's page.
Or your own page. If you do your own page, because in your Facebook account you have liked your page,
right?
Well, your Facebook page will come up in that list, and you can say, I want the embed code for my badge.
Right.
And then it'll go and take them to your page. They can like it, because this is not a Facebook page. And I have to be very candid. I am not super familiar with every aspect of Facebook. And so I'm not sure what all those possibilities are. But when you go to the badges page, you get an idea. You can do any of these types of badges, and I've actually heard that for different services on Facebook, there's actually more badges than this that you can get into. And so just depending on what that particular badge does for your site, you can get in and do whatever that badge will allow you to do. I'm not profile badge. Yeah, I didn't even look at that. Most people like the like badges, and so that's the one I concentrated on as far as how to get done, what needs to be done for that. So if you know more about Facebook than I do, which most people do, you can probably make that do a lot more for you. I appreciate your time today. I hope it was informative, and I hope this turned out to be easier than you thought it would be. There was a document that describes this in some detail also that was published today on GovSpace. Please check that out in the eGov training space. And as always, I am here for your assistance at egovhelp@state.or.us, or you can give me a call, 503-378-2126. I hope you all have a great day. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye.
Thank you.